Hey boys and girls, it's Wootini from GayGamer.net here with another one of my weekly video podcasts. As you might be able to tell from my t-shirt, I went to see the Legend of Zelda Symphony of the Godesses. It was at the theater at Madison Square Garden, and it was quite wonderful. It's probably also the only symphony that you'll ever go to and find audience members in costume. There were a bunch of Zeldas, bunch of Links, different kinds of Links. Somebody wore Majora's Mask. I feel like there were others. But it was wonderful. I would have preferred a little less talking and a little more music. It probably would have helped it flow better and cut a good half hour out of the running time. But it was quite nice. And the second half, when they just let them play, was quite lovely. They had video screens playing footage of the games, as well as footage of the orchestra, you know, for the people in the back that couldn't see the actual people playing the instruments. They got a little play. But it was great, and the music is gorgeous. I mean, it's just good music, you know? I mean, they're playing, you know, an orchestral version of, like, you know, A Link to the Past, and it still just sounds gorgeous, because the actual music itself is great. And it sounds much better coming out of an orchestra than, you know, your NES. But the actual tune itself, at its base, is just that solid that it can be played by an orchestra and sound gorgeous. So I think that Symphony of the Godesses is wrapping up its tour at this point, so I'd like to say, if it comes to your area, go see it, but I think it's already come to your area. I think it's pretty much at the end of its run. But it might not be. It might be still heading to your area, so if you haven't been able to see it, definitely go see it. They really should release a soundtrack to it. They didn't sell I was hoping there'd be a soundtrack at the souvenir stand, but they just had these t-shirts. They had some really lovely giant posters, and then they were selling ocarinas, but they were all out by the time I got there, so I don't really know what kind of ocarinas they were, what they looked like, or anything. It was crowded. Although it didn't seem like it was sold out. I turned around during intermission, and it seemed like there were a couple of sections in the back, in the corner, that still had some empty seats. But those were those seats. They were in like the middle section. They weren't in the very back. So it was like those seats didn't sell, but the seats behind them sold, because the seats behind them were probably like $50 cheaper. Well, or maybe not 50, but you know what I mean. Like, when you're like, well, why should I pay like all that extra money so I can sit one row in front of where I am? No, that's just silly. So definitely go see it if you have a chance. I know I'm a bit late on this, but it took this long for it to come to New York City for some reason, so what are you going to do? The other thing that I saw was a screening of the Mass Effect anime, Paragon Lost. And I'm going to do a whole review for the site, so look for that on GayGamer.net this week. But, spoiler alert, wasn't very good. I mean, granted, you've got the games that are so amazing, so to measure up to that is going to be difficult. But it tries too hard. It both tries too hard and doesn't try at all. That's the problem. I'll explain in my review on the site. I'm not going to get into it here. Then, as far as games, I was able to finish LEGO Lord of the Rings, so look for a review on GayGamer.net for that as well. It's going to be a big review week this week, I guess. So look for that, and it's a LEGO game. It's awesome. All the LEGO games are super fun and wonderful. And I particularly enjoyed this one. They used the dialogue from the movie, but then they kind of undercut sometimes the seriousness of the dialogue with, you know, the usual LEGO visual jokes. So that's always fun. It's also like the biggest... I thought the DC Superheroes game was the biggest LEGO game but I'm thinking that LEGO Lord of the Rings might actually be surpassing that. And then we're going to see what happens with the LEGO Wii U game, because that's supposed to be a whole open world city, so that might even be bigger than LEGO Lord of the Rings. Eep. But now that I'm done with that, I can get back into seriously playing Zombie U, which is just embarrassing to play. Sometimes my survivors don't last more than a minute. It's really, really, really sad. So it's embarrassing. I'm very concerned that there's a leaderboard at the end. It's going to tell me how many survivors I went through. And I'll have friends who are like, oh yeah, I went through like 40 survivors, it was crazy. And I'll look at my list and it'll say like I went through like 250, and I'm like, argh. But I can finally get back into that. And then of course I also did play a lot of Dance Central and Rock Band this week, because there was some good DLC for that. Embarrassing DLC, but I mean, Call Me Maybe is kind of ridiculous. But I feel like at this point Call Me Maybe has gone beyond being annoying, and it's gone back around to being fun again, because it's actually a really catchy tune. So, but I will admit that Gangnam Style is just embarrassing, but I did get it for Dance Central 3, and it's actually a really good routine. It's a good workout routine. It's really high energy, and it's like you're sweating. And, I mean, it's just ridiculous because you are actually doing the dance moves from the video. So, you know, the horse riding thing, I'm not doing it here. And there will be no YouTube video posted of me doing that routine in the game. No. You're lucky you got the moves like Jagger one. So, yes, it's horrible, and I do wonder how long it's going to take before I feel the way I do about that, the way I do about the Macarena. Because whenever I play story mode, you have to play the Macarena song, and I'm always like, ugh, I hate the frickin' Macarena song. So we'll see how long it is before I feel that way about Gangnam Style. I guess it's a good thing that I don't listen to the radio or anything, because I might have heard it more than I already did. So that's it. I'm gonna go now. That was my week in gaming. And make sure you check out the site, gaygamer.net, for my reviews of the Mass Effect video and the LEGO Lord of the Rings, and whatever else goes on this week. Keep checking out the site, and I'll see you right here next week. Bye!